Hello friends, hello audience. Today I'm gonna talk about the other side of the coin. The other side of the coin. I recorded a video, a recording about Trump and Navalny. I told you that the shocker is Navalny is not dead, and I proved it to you. But I was sure of that, right? I was sure of that. Excuse me. But why he did it, I think I missed. I am not sure I missed, but I think I missed that he did it because he wants Trump to look tough guy who punishes opponents and opposition and opposition figures, and that he's going for the chokehold of the US, that he's going to turn it into a Soviet Union, blah blah. So Putin is assisting his double or his surrogate in the United States, right? Trying to endow that image on him, like dress him up with that image. But yesterday, last night, this Mr. Arab here will not quit, right? And then it gave me a theory, and I think it is true. Although Navalny is not dead, but he is made to be dead, like they probably found someone who looked like him and did some cosmetic surgery and killed him, and whatever, right? Similar to, I believe, that's what I believe. It happened before with, other people. Give me a second. Yeah. Right? But yesterday, I think I got corrected about that. I don't think the guy was doing that for to improve the Stalin image of Trump or anything of the sort. I just have a different feeling yesterday that told me that no, actually, this is a shot across the bow to Trump himself. He's reminding Trump himself, that that's what's going to happen to you, or your, those. Excuse me, give me a second. Okay, sorry, had to change the lighting. So I think that was a shot across the bow to Trump himself and his likes, because now I mentioned that the Cold War has now landed on the shores of the United States, right? And then there's that vanguard, plus the previous, during the height of the Cold War, when communism was at its height, there was elements here who collaborated with the Soviet Union, and they had spies, but they had a base here that you just couldn't find out about, right? So I think because Trump himself is misbehaving and now looking like he's gonna lose the election, so I think Putin had to remind him, remember who you work for, right? And then there's a time when they shook hands after they stood up, right, from their, they were in a joint conference, and then after they're finished, they shook hands, and I remember that look that Putin gave him, right? He looked at him, and Trump really didn't even care to look back, right? He was like in a sorry state, right? But then again, like I said, the vanguard or the Trojan horse, right? So you look all over Washington, and there are Trojan horses for Putin. So Putin has Trojan horses all over the United States, especially in Washington and in the Congress and in in the Senate, and in the Supreme Court and so on and so forth. They're all over. His Trojan horses are all over Washington. That's very funny. So anyways, fun aside, I think that's who it was. Listen to me for a second there, getting back to serious stuff. That's now, I'm almost certain, last night, as I came home, it hit me as I entered, that Mr. Arab was cooking up some stuff in the back end, what is it, metacortex, right? And it said, that was a warning to Trump and his other allies that remember who you worked for, right? You remember who you're dealing with, and that he can reach them anytime he wants to. Well, it serves a number of purposes as well. That Navalny thing, that act of Navalny, like other opposition who may think they're, opposition to Putin and so on, right? So, but that's what it was. Now, let me tell you something about Trump. Do you remember when he started procrastinating in the White House that 1 week he refused to leave, and then finally he just walked out and then left it, unattended and so on before Biden walked in, right? Do you remember that? I remember watching on the news and the Putin Trojan horses. Some of them are ponies, right? They're not like, some of them are draft horses. Right? And he said something to this effect that Trump was trying to secure his legacy. What does that mean? What legacy you're talking about here? The guy doesn't give a shit about anything, right? I think what he means by that is his cut, right? Because Obama took his cut as well. Obama took his cut. He's secured a number of trillions for the same policy, like I remember, what's his name? Lauren Green, posse and so on. So he secured a number of trillions, and I think he got his cut by two ways. One is a prepared book for him that he sold, and everybody who took money from him, bought a bunch of them and probably threw them out or something of the sort. And by a company, a contract with Netflix, if you know what I mean. Right? So he got his cut and he got a few millions out of that. And that's what I thought when he said he was trying to secure his legacy, is that he now wants to make sure that all the trillions, the 8 trillions, 8.4 trillions, look, that's why this guy was there. This guy, he goes to the borders, right? And, talks about immigration and languages and whatnot. This guy does not give a shit about this country because he goes into the White House. He went into the White House and so on to secure some money, and he racked up $8.4 trillion debt, as they say, right? And then I remember when the pandemic started, he called the stock market, right? And I asked back then the governor of Washington State, and he said he took care of the stock market and he didn't take care of the people. Ask him, go ask him. He was on the news and he's on record. I don't recall his name. He is Republican too, right? And I remember some of those who received some of the giving, right, on account of the taxpayer during the pandemic time. That's when people, or in government should really hold back and allow people to recover and right. And that guy, I think, was either Tudor or Schwarzman. He went out in rapture saying, he loves massive, right? He loves massive. So some fucking super billionaire or whatever it is stolen from the taxpayer. Now he's getting like billions, and then people here don't even have money to pay their rent, right? Because Trump and Putin, and I now believe that this COVID thing is really a Putin thing, right? Rather than China, right? Oh, you better believe it. Oh, you better believe it. This guy knows how to do clandestine operations way outside of his area of influence, right? Way outside, away from his palace or castle or whatever it is, like even in the middle of China. Yes, he's able to do that shit too, right? As much as he's very successful, 100% record in assassinations, right? Do you remember he assassinated some Chechens who supposedly reconciled or something like that, or whatever it is, on a bridge in... No, he assassinated the opposition leaders in Moscow, and he accused Chechen people of assassinating them. Turned out to be not true, right? So the Navalny's death, I think, is a shot across the bow to those Trojan horses, in particular Trump, because I had a feeling Trump was like one step forward, two step backward, or like he's acting. When he goes and talk, he's acting. The guy is acting. He's not himself, right? And there's more. Now, alongside of that, he struck him with a vice. Now, the other base here in the United States crushed. He threatened him with the Navalny thing, right? And then here they hit him with the money, right? The $500 million. Why doesn't he take that to the Supreme Court? Get it? You get it, right? Why doesn't he take that to the Supreme Court. He can do that, right? Why doesn't he take it to the Supreme Court or something of the sort, right? So there are ways about it. And there's more, so they're questioning him. What they're trying to say to him, this is Navalny, and this is the $500 million, and this is your assets here in New York, and so on and so forth, right? You may say, but they're already taking it. So what's wrong with that? Oh, guess what? They take it now, right? But and he gets it back if he goes into the White House. How? Well, you know how, right? He's going to put another 8 trillion or 16 or whatever it is, right? And then he gets his cut. Now there is a third element, right? That third element in the mix, right? That in the recipe, and that's MBS giving $2 billion. Come on, man. MBS doesn't just give $2 billion like here, $2 billion. And to whom? To Jared Kushner. That was, I think, part of his cut, his legacy, as mentioned when he left the White House, that he secured 8.4 trillion. Now his cut is 2 billion probably. Maybe that's his legacy, the one that they were talking about, right? You see what I'm saying here? So now the money is no matter, right? For at least MBS, right? If say push comes to shove, he goes back, or he loses the election, right? Or he's no longer in the election, or no longer in the White House. He loses the money, and then he gets probably a threat, right? A threat of Navalny. That's what I think it is. Or if he goes back into the White House and behave, I think he gets to keep those $2 billion. And then what? And then what? He probably gets more, right? I don't know about this guy, folks. I think he just wanted to have that deal done, and that's it. The 2 billion and blah, blah, blah. But it's not up to him. So they probably sensed him or his Trojan horses that they're hesitating, or they want to some kind of free themselves, or whatever it is. These minions of the Soviet Union, right? Of communism. Look, folks, what's in there? What's in there is very bad, folks. I sometimes wonder those. What's in there. Sometimes I wonder, maybe they're not human, right? I sometimes see that they're not human, those behind Putin, or Putin himself, or the Ayatollahs and the Hezbollah and Xi Jinping, right? Right? I don't think they're human, man. Something there is very terrible. They kill mass. They go into cities and destroy cities and burn cities, and they love to do that, folks. Look, you white America, look what he's doing in Ukraine, right? You think you're different, or he has a different consideration for you than the Ukrainians or than the Germans? Now I hear that the Germans are procrastinating. The German government, like Scholz and so on, they're like pulling back on Ukraine and stuff. That's collaboration, folks. That's complicity. You know what's in store for you if he makes it to your border, right? What do you think he's going to do at that point when his troops are near your border? And that's not going to happen. Big if, right? It's not even a big if. It's like a universal, as big as a galaxy if, right? And it's not going to happen. But if he makes it there, would you not love for England or United States or Canada to send troops to fight him? Heck, what the heck? You did that in World War II, right? Why don't you do that now, right? What is it about Putin that Merkel loved him too, right? Merkel and now Scholz, oh, they love him. And Macron, Macron wants to send troops. He knows. This is, folks, this is a stratagem. This is a trick, folks. He's trying to deceive you about his position toward Putin. Remember when he went to Putin, he humiliated him like a dog, right? I don't know why they do that. Look, you French, you German, you Scandinavian, you Anglo-Saxon, no matter where you are. That threat you cannot ignore. That threat, they're on the record. Look, UATV posted a clip for Lavrov talking about Anglo-Saxon. So they began with denazification and communist flags on their tanks, and now they're talking Anglo-Saxon. They're no longer talking Nazification, right? At the same time, they accuse you of being Jew, right? So a contradiction, like a conundrum. They accuse you of being Jewish, right? And now they say they want to denazify you. Just doesn't make sense, folks. You German citizen, you whoever you are, you Dutch, you can't wait until those guys overrun Ukraine. They will not, of course. You know, some people are saying that Ukraine may lose or something like that. No, it's not true, folks. Russia now is desperate for any face-saving situation, right? And that's why they're hell-bent on bringing Trump back into the White House, because they want to achieve or do through him what they cannot do now through Biden. You understand? You understand? So I think that's what it is. The theory is very simple, folks. He's just straightening out Trump. You know, you go back in there, or else, you know, stop misbehaving and you know, talking shit and whatnot, and right. I don't think they, you know, when he says he wants to make Russia invade the hell or do what the hell, whatever the hell they want to with Europe or something of the sort. You know, he thinks, I think that occult, that deadly occult, I don't think they like that, him saying that, something like that. You see what I'm saying? Let me tell you about those in Russia. You know, the Arabs invented geography, right? And the first maps of the world and countries and you know, places. They're first, you know, they're the first. But in one of their maps, they described the land of Gog and Magog as where Putin is, a little bit to the north and east, up, way up north. They have it there, Gog and Magog, Ya'juj wa Ma'juj, right? These guys are still there, folks. I don't believe, and they're the Khazar or Kaisers, right? I don't believe they're humans. I have seen them where their senses go way beyond our human senses, right? I think that's them, folks. Remember a story of the Dyatlov Pass? I think they're the ones who killed them. You know, even though some of the kids in there were Jewish, right? If not all of them. They killed them, right? And they tried to cover for it afterwards. And you saw Stalin and you saw Lenin. You know, you may not see, maybe it's a position, you know, like double position of those people in there or something of the sort. Something over there, lurking over there is very evil, folks. You saw what they've done, you know, ever since Khomeini came to power, ever since Assad came to power, ever since Mao Zedong came to power, ever since Lenin came to power. It's kill and get killed, folks, and mass murder and, you know, the denigration and torment of humanity, and they look at other humans and they think of gulags and blood and fire and so on and so forth. Look what he's doing. This guy, from whenever he got scared by a rat, right? That rat, right? And he's been killing people ever since. This guy, Putin, boasts probably his record has millions on his account, right? Wherever you go, in the Caucasus, in Syria, in Africa, and in Ukraine, and probably in Afghanistan. Anywhere you go, this guy just kills, right? Right. So that's who Putin is, folks. And that is. Let me tell you something about Stalin. Stalin had henchmen, right? One of which is Beria, but there was one who was given, unlike, you know, not that he applied for it or anything else. I remember, you read this in the Gulag Archipelago, or there is a concise version on YouTube, right? Two videos about the Soviet Union and so on, right? Archipelago. And this guy they called him, even in the narrator, in the narrative, they called him a midget, right? So he got that assignment to oversee the gulags, and he started killing people, right? And after he started killing people, what happened to him? He got killed, right? When Stalin appointed you, or Lenin and Stalin posse, right? They appoint you for any job like that. That's it. This is a death sentence, right? And they killed him. And when he died, the midget said, I remember, you know, I'm quoting here, that he dies and the name of Stalin he's uttering the name of Stalin in love, right? Notice, folks, I mean, what is so scary about Stalin or Lenin or Vladimir that makes people kill million for them, admire them, and then they die for them? Because they know they have no choice, right? So, and they're afraid, totally afraid of them. What does this guy Trump knows about him, or has a relationship to him, or what's his name? Graham and McConnell. You know, remember McConnell, you know, he froze a couple of times? I suspected that. By Allah, I suspected that, right? I thought he was making it, guys just want to leave, right? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, but definitely, you know, here Mr. Arab told me yesterday that, you know, it's not like he's talking or anybody talking, but my unconscious, you know, like said, this Navalny thing is to threaten those Trojan horses in Washington. You know, you better make sure you go back into the White House no matter what. So let me tell you something about Trump. Trump is a money guy. He doesn't give a shit about this United States or whatever it is. He goes to the border and the guy just doesn't care, man. If he open the border and overrun the country, he just doesn't care, man. He doesn't care. But he's bound by something very awful, very troubling. You know, MBS, he just gave him $2 billion. Oh, they're trying to tell him we take it from you overnight, right? That's why they ran this judgment of $500 million on him. Now you may say, what if they take it? And so it looks like they want to take it, right? Well, they'll pay it back after the next election. Or maybe similar to that dog of Stalin, after he does what he does, you know, they just kill him, right? Whatever they pay with the right hand, they take with the left hand, and meantime he falls off, right? Of existence. Let's put it this way. I really consider, you Americans, I really, look, this is very serious stuff. Trump goes back to the White House. Trump is nothing. Putin will be back into the White House. And this time around, he is going to make sure America no longer exists. And he will appoint whatever leader in the United States without even a force. And the Americans will be so pacified, so destroyed, so that they will not even rebel against him anymore. You understand? That's what that's what Putin is. After Lenin and Stalin, who dares make a revolution against them in Russia? I read statistics, right, a number that says, and that's way before the aggression against Ukraine. He said, and I quote, that statistics say that that at least 32 million Russians, you know, or from what they call their, well, I don't know, I think Russians too wants to immigrate to the West, right? Because there's nothing there. I remember when I was in Syria, after Hafiz Assad came, you would see jams on the embassies, you know, including that of the US. Thousands of people, young people, and so on, they just want to leave the country. It was, we knew, I mean, it's not like we knew the exact plot and elements of the plot and details and so on, but it's very clear it was sliding downhill. And not just that, in 1979, guess what, 8 years later, after Hafiz, who's brother of Ayatollah, who's brother of Stalin and Lenin and so on, right, took over, oh, they purged the country and people died in mass there. And you don't hear about that, do you? They destroyed an entire city back then called Hama, right? Hama, H-A-M-A. Right. And I remember people there were standing thousands in front of embassies, right? Later on, I heard the same thing, you know, like the American embassy, like you get like, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is. They just line up in front of the embassy, right? They just want to get a visa. The vast majority of them get rejected. If you're a Sunni, of course, you just get rejected, right? And Sunnis, maybe they don't want to even, they don't even think about leaving the country. But they made them leave the country anyway. See what happened in Syria in the last 10, 12 years, right? They will do that here. You see what's happening to Ukraine, and the plan is Europe. I told you that, like when the aggression started, his plan is entire Europe and Anglo-Saxon. And guess what? They fessed up now, and you have it on the record. That Lavrov talked about this Anglo-Saxon thing. He doesn't like it, right? Straightforward. He named it Anglo-Saxon. And before him, Dugin, you know, that supposedly Rabbi Dugin, they call him Rasputin, right? But he's a rabbi, right? More like Rabbi, whoever it is, right? Judas the Iscariot, right? Said, you know, this Anglo-Saxon thing, he wants to turn it into a Eurasia, right? And who's Eurasia? I am partly Eurasian myself, you know, with Arab ancestry, right? But what he's talking about is bringing people from East China, right? You know, Guangzhou and Dangwon. Dang, you know. Right? He wants to bring them into Europe and later on America and Canada. You guys think I'm joking? I'm not joking, folks. I am as serious as it gets. And if you value the future of your posterity, if you don't have any children, you don't want to have any children, don't care, go fishing in the Caribbean or something of the sort, right? Eventually you will die, right? And you leave nothing here. But if you care for your mankind, if you care for your humanity and your neighbors and your people, you better think twice about allowing this Trump, the proxy of Putin, to go back into the White House, because that's when Putin is going to do a job on you. He is going to make sure America never rises again, or against him again, or try to free itself from him again. You better believe it. And you know, they're on the records. When I said that a few years back, in January 6th and so on, you probably were laughing, right? You're no longer laughing. That's why I'm thinking that Navalny is really, and the money and so on is really, like to Trump, this is what's going to happen to you, and your money will be gone, right? That's what I think. That's what I'm seeing now. Will I modify my theory? I don't think anymore. This is what this is. Have a nice day. And guess what? If you love your country, if you love your children, if you love your neighbor, if you love your humanity and so on, you get up and fight now, not tomorrow. And remember, I have heard reports that the MAGAs are paying for those poor people, the unemployed, and the African American community, and so on and so on and so forth, to get their votes for Trump. Have a nice day. You better get up and fight, folks. It won't be long before you realize the fateful mistake that you did, or the fatal mistake that you did. You better get up and fight. Is Biden better? I tell you what, I don't know about better. He still takes money and give it to Bitcoin and whatnot, right? Allows, he's sending money on an account of taxpayers to stock market and so on. And his policy in the Middle East, oh man, it's trash, man. This is criminal, Joby. This is criminal. What's happening there, right? But trust me, he's not as bad as Trump. Oh, by no means. And I don't believe he's a serf, S-E-R-F, right? S-E-R-F, not S-U-R-F, right? He's not a dog of Putin. I don't see that. Two, I don't see he's going to dissolve the United States or terminate the Constitution. There are a few things about him that says the country will resume, on hope, of course, on hope that it, there's time for it to recover. I don't know, really. I really don't know. The damage is too great, right? But that's that, folks. Believe me, you Americans, you Europeans, you whoever you are. What happened in Ukraine and what happened in January 6th is a divine intervention to give you a chance to stay to stay free and recover. It's no less, believe me. It's no less. And I said in one of the conversations on the phone with one of my sisters that Putin is trying to wrestle with God or Allah, right? He's gonna lose, but guess what? If there's nobody around, he may simply allow him to come through, right? Why? Because after all, some Russians who are dying in Ukraine and here and there, they're human just like you and I. Look at their legacy. If you want to see yourself, look at your legacy as a Russian soldier in Ukraine, or as a poor Russian who wants to immigrate to the West and so on. That's what's going to become of you. Look what he's doing to his own Russian people. Have a nice day. Take care. And get up and fight. Get up and fight no matter what. And don't take that couple of dollars or a gold boot from Trump only to go vote for him, because he's more than going to take it back from you. He's going to steal whatever little you have left for yourselves. Have a nice day.